2, we will aim for adding them back next week. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Please join us for a moment of silence, and Councilmember Carrera, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up is public comment. I would like to note that we have received 133 emails regarding the firearms ordinance that will be discussed on October 7th. If you would like to read these emails, please contact the city clerk, Miss Lana Connor. Is anyone signed up for public comment?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No? Okay. Is there anyone who's not signed up but would still like to make public comment?
Yeah, Tony would.
What? Would you like to make public comment?
Tell me what I think.
Yeah, come on up to the microphone and please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Tony Shiflett. I'm a long-term Manassas Park resident. First of all, I'd like to say I strongly support the development that's going to occur for the woods here, from Digital through on down Manassas Drive. I think it's good for the city, and I only represent myself, but I live in Manassas, or in the Belmont Reserve development. And I was talking with the city manager earlier, and I just would like to have the board make sure, and I know he's aware of this and said he would do it, but to make sure residents are able to actually use our community center, because the pool seems to be, the lanes are always rented out, and they're rented out. I work in Crystal City 3 days a week, and getting here is problematic. I left at 4:45 today in order to get here 10 minutes ahead of time of the meeting. And I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that, and like I gave him, their lanes are being rented out for a lot cheaper than in what's happening in Fairfax County at this point in time. And, I'd like to see residents be able to use the pool that we pay taxes for. And there are other people down there too. I'm 61 years old, so I need to exercise every day, and my knee's going bad, so, the pool's it. And, there are other, even older folks going down there, and, tonight, you cannot go there before 7:45 and actually use the pool because the lanes are rented out. 6 of the 8 lanes are rented out, and the 2 common lanes are, filled with 20 kids and adults. And so just please take us into account when you're doing your planning and thinking and all that good stuff. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Would anyone else like to make public comment? Nope. All right. First up, we have a certificate of appreciation for Piotr Sliwka. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Mr. Sliwka is a retired senior citizen who goes out and picks up trash on both sides of Manassas Drive from the BRE station to Carondelet Drive. He has been doing volunteer work for 4 years now, and we would like to thank him for his contribution to the beautification of the city. Is he here? I don't think he's here. Nope. All right, we will get that to him. All right, next we have a proclamation declaring September CSB Recovery Month. Whereas mental health and substance use disorders affect every community nationwide, as well as here in Greater Prince William County. And whereas SAMHSA reports that 1 in 4 Americans identify as having a mental health or substance use disorder, with 22.3 million Americans having reached recovery from a substance use disorder. And whereas with commitment and support, those impacted by mental health or substance use disorders can embark on a journey of resilience, improved health, and overall wellness. And whereas Recovery Month is observed each September to celebrate all people that make the journey of recovery possible by embracing families and recovery to spread the message that people can do and recover every day. And whereas the goal of Recovery Month is to improve the lives of those affected by mental health and substance use disorders by raising awareness and educating communities about the effective services that are available. And whereas residents are encouraged to be aware of and able to recognize the signs of mental health and substance use disorders and assist family, friends, and coworkers when possible, and people in need of recovery services are encouraged to seek help. And whereas the Community Services believes change is possible, the agency and its community partners are hosting a Families and Recovery event on September 17th at the AJ Ferlazzo building and invite community allies and people in recovery to share their stories of resilience and recovery through art and storytelling. Now, therefore, I, Alana Mensing, Mayor of the City of Manassas Park, hereby recognize September 2025 as Recovery Month in the City of Manassas Park, and I call this observance to the attention of our residents. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. And tonight we have LeNelle here to say a few words and accept the proclamation.
Thank you. My name is LeNelle Mozell. I'm Program Manager for Outpatient Therapy Services with Prince William Community Services. And as the mayor mentioned in the proclamation, first of all, I want to thank you all for approving this. But we have the Substance Use Month is a month to try to celebrate and recognize all of the efforts that folks that are in recovery go through every day. We this year want to especially recognize the efforts that families put into the recovery effort because they're often forgotten, and it takes a village for someone to get into and to stay in recovery. So next Wednesday, we're having our second annual Recovery Month event at the Plaza Building from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It will be 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's just a fun day of hanging out, meeting with local agencies that provide resources for our community members. But also we have yoga, we have therapy dogs, we have auricular acupuncture, we have lunch for everyone that attends. We have 2 speakers coming as well, and one will be speaking on gambling and recovery because they're very closely tied, and we will also have free HIV testing. So it's going to be a fun day for the whole community, including clients of community services, but also all of our neighbors and family members. And thank you. And also here I have Georgia, Acting Director for Community Service, Georgia Bachman, and Division Director Sara Wheeler, and Mike Goodrich, who's sort of a guru at the agency. Thank you all.
Would you all like to come up for a picture?
Yeah. Stand in the back.
Yeah, we stand in the back. We stand in the back.
Thank you. All right, for presentations, we have the legislative brunch follow-up presentation. On October 23rd, we had a very productive conversation with members of our school board, Senator Rome, and representatives from Delegate Maldonado's office. We were really able to share the needs of our cities and, listen to some of the challenges the state is facing.
So, pardon me, just going to quickly go over what we talked about. The meat of the presentation is at the end, where Senator Rome asked us to prioritize some possible spending opportunities in the city if they're able to have any kind of appropriations at the end of session that they sometimes do. I feel like this is a great opportunity to sort of serve as the foundation for the creation of your 2026 legislative priorities. So this is not your legislative priorities. This is just staff's recommendation of the prioritization and the projects to put forward. But just because everyone wasn't there, we're going to cover them real quick. I'm going to go through the presentation real quick just for fun of it. The things we asked for them to support were a lot of the programs that serve our social services in the schools. SNAP program is being threatened. So idea being if the federal government does cut money from SNAP, that the state pick up the slack and not have it fall to the local jurisdictions. Same thing with the National School Lunch Program and the Breakfast Program. Sorry, I'm getting over something. Last year, there was a bill to allow local jurisdictions to assess a 1% sales tax that would go towards school CIPs. Did not make it through the process, so if it comes up again, we ask that they support that. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but at least gives local jurisdictions the authority to impose it if they like. A couple of grants related to first responders, one for firefighters, funding for equipment and more firefighters. And again, that went through, was introduced last year and died in the Senate Finance Committee. Same thing with the retirement for 911 dispatchers, enhanced retirement, basically treating them the same as Virginia State Patrol officers or troopers. So when they retire, give them the same sort of, especially mental health services at retirement. There was a bill introduced last year to redirect all red light and speed camera revenue to the Virginia Highway Safety Program. And that, we have to pay to have those cameras. Every jurisdiction has to pay those cameras. So it's a perverse incentive. Basically says, we're going to pay money to collect money to give to the state to do these things. So if that comes up, we're going to ask again. We oppose it. We wrote a couple letters last year, if you might remember. There was a bill that came up last year. We don't know if it's going to come up again about school boards being required that they be elected. There's a handful of cities in the state that still don't have elected school boards, us being one of them. And again, just a local control issue, not really something we'd like them to weigh into. There's also, this is a big one, a bill that would require statewide housing targets by locality, and this is going to be introduced. Basically says that between 27 and 32, every city has to increase their housing stock by 7.5%. We have enough projects in the pipeline plus what we've completed that if everything that is already been sent to the planning and zoning office were to be completed, we would have increased our housing stock by 13.3% in the last 5 years. And so while we have no opposition to the bill, what we would ask for is that there be a friendly amendment that says if you're already doing your part, you're not subject to it. So then we talked about some project funding opportunities, and that's where this is where we came up with our 5 ideas. Basically, the senator said, come up with ideas that are less than 7 digits, so less than $1 million. We have the Manassas Drive complete streetlight LED upgrades on there, which you'll notice is 1.2 million, but that's a segmented project, and so it can be broken into smaller pieces if it's something that gets funded. I should have edited the slideshow to do the priorities, but I didn't. But I have them right here. Oh, careful there. So the way staff prioritized the 5 presentations, we think that the 2 sidewalk gaps are the most important thing for us to focus on if we're able to get state money for it. Followed by the Manassas Drive streetlight LED upgrades, which again can be chunked up into smaller pieces necessary. City gateway and wayfinding signage, this is a project that is underway. We haven't funded it yet, but if it got to the point where that kind of money was available, that's where we put number 4. And then the active transportation plan and the trail connections feasibility study. We have a number of, especially trail connections that are sort of been thought about and sort of out there in the ether that haven't really come to fruition and won't until we can apply a study to the project. So this is how staff prioritize these, not necessarily how you prioritize these, which is the important thing here, but you may also have 1, 2, or 50 other things we'd like to add to the list for the prioritization. But as far as the breakfast, the brunch went, it was great, and this was asked for by Senator Rome, and the idea of being after this meeting, unless I get vehement objection, we're going to send it to her and to Delegate Maldonado as a preliminary list of things to focus on. The reason there's a clock on this is that Delegate Maldonado submits her bill list in the middle of September. Senator Rome won't do hers till December, but we wanted to get something in Delegate Maldonado's hand before it was too late. Get in line if we have to. So I don't have anything else unless you have questions.
Thank you. Comments, questions, starting down here?
No, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for the presentation. The question I have, the 5 that you're suggesting there, that's what we're wanting to send down, correct? Not the initial presentation or the initial discussion?
These are the 5 from this presentation, just reordered in
Okay.
prior to. So the presentation that was not in order, now this is what we consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to clear up, we're sending our funding requests now, and we'll work on our legislative
Okay.
agenda later on and solidify
That's a
that.
great clarification.
Thank you.
Okay, good.
I only have a comment. Thank you so much for keeping the streetlight LED program up there. I think it's very important. And I think I like the way it's being prioritized, so thank you so much for still continuing to pursue that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say I appreciate the presentation. I agree with Councilmember Maya that the priority list seems right to me. I do have a lot of problems with the opposition. We are suggesting we're going to oppose a requirement that districts and cities build housing. And I'm just not sure why we would do that, given the fact that, housing is in such short supply. There's lots of larger cities than ourselves. I realize Manassas is doing its part, and we're doing a great job. But there's lots of cities that aren't, and they should be called in the carpet. The reason why we have high housing is because of the supply issue, the lack of housing that's being built in Northern Virginia. So I think if the state government wants to put pressure on these communities and these counties that aren't doing their fair share of housing, then that should happen. I agree with you. We should have an amendment there saying, for those of us who are doing it, commend us, but then let's slap the hands of those who are just sitting by and not building the housing that's necessary. So again, I would not oppose the bill. I would just say maybe we should modify it or something like that. But
Agreed.
oppose is a very strong word.
That's what we suggested when we went down to Richmond to speak to them, that
We
we,
did.
as a city, there should be some type of leeway for us, because we're already doing the work.
Yeah, so maybe we could
Yeah.
rephrase that and maybe put it in a different category as oppose and just say amend or something like that.
Yeah, I think the title bills to oppose is not fitting, because we did tell her that we would just like an amendment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I put that in red. A friendly amendment would make it, but if they passed it in its current form, that would put a tremendous
Yeah.
burden on us because we've already
Absolutely.
created so much. So I would recommend opposing
Yes.
in its current form. But I think the message is heard, that we want to offer a friendly amendment to get it to apply to everybody else that isn't doing their part, so.
Yes.
And I think
So Mrs.
Senator Rome mentioned that at the luncheon. We actually had that discussion, and she actually said just in the current form, it wouldn't make sense for Manassas Park specifically, because we're already doing it. And if it's enforced, eventually we're gonna run out, we won't be able to meet it in future years potentially.
Yeah.
But we are meeting it, so it was, if we put the caveat in there, yes, it would be more acceptable. But it was a point, it was something we did discuss at length, yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good point that I'd like to also clarify is that in the future, and I realize that, our delegate and our senator have something to say about this, but when we're officially on recess, we shouldn't have official meetings. We're on recess, and that means we have a chance to go and do other things. So hopefully we can move that meeting to September. We've historically, or at least the last couple of years, taken August off. So having a brunch where we have these priorities discussed, which is important, should hopefully be held at a time where most of us can make that meeting. So yeah, to you, Mr. City Manager, you're saying that 7% for us in 5 years, from 2027 to 2032, would be a burden on Manassas Park?
An additional 7.5%, which would put us up to over 20%, which for us would be close to 1,000 units. So I don't know where we would put them at this point.
Yeah, I imagine there's got to be some understanding if you're only 3 miles in length and size, you can't put but so many houses in the area. So maybe that needs to be fleshed out. I can't imagine that the same 7% applies for everyone. So Prince William County is huge, and 7% would be very easy. But I could see where 7% might be a daunting task for us.
But it's
being
the
that we're
same
only
for everybody.
3
As-
miles.
Yeah, as it's written, it's the same for everybody.
Yeah, well, that
So-
then maybe should be part of the amendment as well. So, again, instead of opposing the building of housing, that's a message I don't think this city should be sending to no one.
Well, and we have
don't
not
wanna
taken an
build
official
housing.
position. It hasn't been introduced yet. And once it goes through markup and we see how it ends up, we can decide what we want to do at that point. But your point is well made.
I'd like to, and I don't mean to interrupt, one other amendment I'd like to do, and I've talked to you about this, is rent control. That's another issue that impacts a lot of working people.
Here, here.
Where, rent, we understand rent should go up, but it shouldn't go up $300-400, and then it places a burden on the government to do something, you have to have housing that meets the demand of the population, at least rental housing at minimum. And I think that's an issue, and I know that's not popular with either party, but I think that's something that's a necessity.
Well, I think you're right, Councilmember Carrera. I think there should be a cap on how much a landlord could raise a
Per year.
property based on CPI and COLA and things of that nature.
Should match
I would
state
support,
COLA.
I would support that
I
legislation.
would
We have
too.
cross aisle
I said I'd go speak to
working.
you about it.
I know.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have a good conversation when you guys get to your legislative priorities.
Oh, yes, we are.
On some things.
No questions. Yeah, thank you, Carl. Just to, I guess, piggyback off of Councilmember Moore, the thing I would like to see is to have local control of the housing. If the state mandates it, there's a whole bunch of issues at that end, right? So if the state says, I need this quota needs to be met every year, it might push a burden on core services, which at the end of the day, that means taxes are gonna go up. So that kind of housing development should go into localities' purview and control only, and the state should stay out of it. And because the localities know what's best for the city at that point, versus the budget, services they could provide, how much housing they could develop, and so forth. So I think to oppose the bill saying that's mandated by the state, I'm okay with that. Because I'd rather have us make that decision versus the state.
What about those cities that aren't? Manassas is doing a great job. Let me reiterate,
Right.
we're doing a great job.
Yeah.
But the city next to us, or the city behind us,
Yeah,
isn't building any housing.
Yeah, instead of doing a legislation, there should be a joint regional effort, a commission or something that's a little less mandated by the state to, hey, we're doing our part, we need you guys to step it up a little bit. Traffic is getting congested, we're taking the burden from Prince William County here, Manassas Park here, so we need a little help, right? So we could set those up on, in a regional side, body to body, but once you get the state involved, there's there's gonna be a lot of issues with that. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Great.
So we will be voting on a formal legislative agenda later in October, so please read over Kelly's email and send her anything you would like to see included or discussed in the meantime.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is the consent agenda. Tonight, the consent agenda includes approval of the minutes from July 15th, 2025, as presented or corrected, and appointment of both Rick Garrett and Linda Sanchez to the Social Services Advisory Board, both terms to expire September 9th, 2029. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Agreement with Valley Automation to provide SCADA services. Welcome, Alan.
Hey, it's Alan.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Ensing and members of the governing body. SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. And a SCADA system encompasses the hardware and software to remotely monitor and, if desired, control remote sites. In Manassas Park, that would include the 2 sewer lift stations, the 3 water tanks and their associated pumps, and the water supply connections from the City of Manassas and Prince William Water. The city's current SCADA system is not operational. At least it can't be remotely accessed. The city's water operator visits each site each workday to check on the system, to manually operate pumps when necessary, and to record data. Equipment failures are discovered during these visits and sometimes by neighbors notifying the city about alarms going off at the station. This agenda item is broken into 2 parts. The first is an agreement with Valley Automation to provide SCADA services and support, which is submitted for consideration by the governing body. This agreement is based on a contract between James Madison University and Valley Automation and was the result of a competitive bid process. Valley Automation agreed to extend the terms of this contract to the City of Manassas Park, and if approved, the city will be writing the JMU contract using the cooperative procurement provisions of the state code. The second part of this agenda item is 2 task orders to implement the SCADA system in Manassas Park. Task Order 2025-06 will implement the SCADA system itself, hardware and software that controls instrumentation at the remote sites, monitors connections to the Manassas and Prince William water systems, and archives system data. This task order has a total cost of $86,416.22. We recommend a 10% contingency of $8,641.62 for a total not to exceed $95,657.84. Task Order 2025-06, I'm sorry, that's 07, includes upgrades to the programmable logic controllers at the individual sites, remote terminal units at locations that are only to be monitored, and antennas and related hardware for cellular communications. This task order has a total cost of $195,490.27. We recommend a 10% contingency of $19,549.03 for a total not to exceed $215,039.30. These two task orders together with contingency total $310,697.14. The recommendations in the agenda item are that the governing body approves and authorizes the city manager to sign an agreement with Valley Automation to provide SCADA services to the city of Manassas Park, subject to review by the city attorney. The second is that the governing body approves and authorizes the city manager to assign the two task orders for a total not to exceed $310,697.14. Whew.
You made it.
Are there any questions?
Comments, questions? We'll start down to my right.
No, thank you.
So if I'm reading this correctly, the amount spent so far was just under $4,400, or $4,400. The requested amount is $310,000. And the amount budgeted was $500,000. So
That's correct.
So if we approve this, there's no other additional expenses. We're actually saving a little bit of money versus what's being budgeted, or is there future expenses that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, there's two things. In the proposals, they point out that they may need to provide access for the antennas through the vault itself. So there might be some costs associated with that. I'm sure the contingency would cover it. The other is that there would be a long-term cost for the cellular communications, but that would be an operational cost, not a capital cost.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Great presentation. I just had one question and concern, not concern, but just curious. How much would it cost to bring our system up to where we could communicate? Because we've talked about this before. So what's the cost difference between the contract and what it would cost to take our equipment and make it more up to date so that it communicates like other SCADA systems?
I think that's what this does. We're upgrading the equipment and.
But it's a contract, so it's a lifelong contract, or is it a term?
Oh, this
to it, or-
is a 3-year license. Calvin?
Good evening, I'm Calvin Odell, the Director of Community Development. The SCADA system that's currently installed was installed by a company called TransDigm back from, I think they finally got to work 2012. TransDigm has since gone out of business and their system was proprietary, at least the front end portion of the system. So what we have is a Linux server sitting down at Public Works that acts as a giant paperweight. We have no front end to communicate with it. The communications, the radios were what was prescribed by the project engineer never did function. Staff went out on their own and proved that we could achieve functionality by installing a different series of radios. Unfortunately, IT was not able to support those, so as those radios have aged, we have not been able to replace those radios, so we've lost communication via radio signal. What this does is restore signal communication through cellular network, something more reliable and modern, and also looks at the existing controllers, updates those controllers as necessary, and gets us back on our feet with a non-proprietary system that plenty of people are still servicing.
Thank you, Calvin. Very thorough,
Calvin.
yet again.
Yes, see?
No question.
No questions. Thank you.
No questions. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. So the first staff recommendation is that the governing body approves and authorizes the city manager to sign an agreement with Valley Automation to provide SCADA services to the city of Manassas Park, subject to city attorney review.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next is that the governing body approves and authorizes the city manager to sign task order 2025-06 to implement an upgraded SCADA system for the city of Manassas Park in an amount not to exceed $86,416.22, along with a contingency of $8,641.62 for a total not to exceed $95,057.84.
Moved.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. And authorizes the city manager to sign task order 2025-07 to install telemetry, PLC upgrades, and installation of RTUs in an amount not to exceed $195,490.27, along with a contingency of $19,549.03 for a total not to exceed $215,039.30, subject to review by the city attorney.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Right, we now have FY '27 Community Services Performance Contract.
Next, I'm just using this. Oh, next, oh, MP. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor Mensing and Vice Mayor Moore and council members. I'm Georgia Bachman. I'm the acting executive director of Prince William Community Services Board, and I'm here with Mike Goodrich. He was earlier referred to as the guru of the agency, but he is our administrative division manager here at Community Services Board. So we're here to request approval of the biennial CSB state performance contract with the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services, and to share some updated information on our agency with you tonight. Okay, so Prince William CSB is an administrative policy board. Our board members are appointed and accountable to the governing bodies of Prince William County and cities of Manassas and Manassas Park. They set policy for and administer the provision of mental health, developmental disability, and substance use services. We do have 7 operating clinical divisions within the CSB, and they are listed here. These services span the life cycle, and they also span levels of care based on individual need. Here are an overview, not all-inclusive, of the services that we provide at the CSB. Wanted to highlight a few of them for you here tonight. One of them is our Medicaid-assisted treatment program, which some of you may be aware, but we've expanded within the last year these services through our Opioid Abatement Authority funding. And we just recently received a coveted OBAT designation. OBAT is Office-Based Addiction Treatment, and through the Department of Medical Assistance Services. And what this has done is allowed us to serve many, many more people in the community. And since we've expanded these services, we've actually seen a close to 20% increase in services provided. Again, this was funded through the Opioid Abatement Authority settlement. So this has been a very exciting year for us at CS to expand these services and be able to provide additional counseling, additional psychiatric services for our individuals with opioid use disorders. I also wanted to highlight under our co-responder and engagement, we do have an engagement and outreach team. And I wanted to mention this because it's a small but often unknown service that we provide within our emergency services. Any citizen is able to call this engagement team and say, I have a a neighbor, a friend, a family member that I'm concerned about. I can't get them to go into services. Could someone come out and just take a look at them? And they are, they have wonderful engagement skills. They go in with a very gentle manner, and they just do some outreach and assessment. And that's also just been something that we continue to see more and more people through that service. And like I said, it's a service that's not well known about, but I always like to share it when I'm sort of out in community events so that people are aware that they can call upon them. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about our wellness and prevention program. This is another team that serves everyone in the community. They are out there night and day, 7 days a week, doing suicide prevention, gambling education, mental health first aid, Revive trainings, tobacco and vaping education. It's for all citizens. Anyone can call upon them and ask to come out to a community group, a construction worker group called upon them at one point, and they went out at 6 in the morning in the back of a flatbed and just talked about suicide prevention, and had many people approach them later. How can I get help for my friend, my family member? So it's a great service, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of that. Let's see. So the performance contract is the primary accountability and funding mechanism between the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and individual community services boards. It outlines the scope of services, the resources, our responsibilities, their responsibilities, and subcontracting and various terms and conditions. Each CSB does submit a unique Exhibit A, even though the document is standard from one CSB to another. The Exhibit A is separated into two sections of fiscal and services. The financial section requires each CSB to identify the funding sources for each disability area, and DBHDS provides funding based on formulas when funding notices are provided. And then the services section requires each CSB to project service capacities, individuals served, and identify core service costs. DBHDS uses the information when presenting data to the governor or General Assembly. We submit a mid-year and end-of-year report, and they do request additional information from us if our actual services end up differing from our projected services by 25% or more. We have until September 30th to obtain local legislative body approval. Prince William CSB seeks approval from the Prince William Board of County Supervisors, City of Manassas Park, and City of Manassas. The contract period covers 2 years, but the contract is renewed annually. The locality requirements are the state code. Every county or city shall establish a CSB by itself or in any combination with other cities and counties. And the City of Manassas Park actually, until tonight, did not have a member appointed to the CSB, but I'm excited to have the newly appointed board member join us, hopefully this month?
I think we're going to vote on that next week.
Next week,
Yeah,
okay,
we
all
didn't
right.
vote on that yet.
Gotcha, perfect, thank you so much. And in terms of service funding for City of Manassas Park, the contribution for CSB operations in FY25 was $1,196,120, and for FY26 is budgeted at $1.234779. The contribution amount for CSB services is determined through the shared services allocation process that's led by the Prince William County Finance Department. And in FY25, 178 individuals from City of Manassas Park received CSB services, and 197 individuals were served in FY 2024. And again, that's kind of people who are officially enrolled in our services. It does not mean that we haven't touched other members of the community. Is that it? Oh, okay. And the last thing I did just want to mention before we take any questions or close, hopefully everyone is aware that we are opening our CRC complex in October. We are super excited. As you all know, this is a state-of-the-art facility that is truly going to transform crisis services for our community members by offering immediate help for persons in crisis. And it's based on the national best practice model, Crisis Now, which offers someone to call, someone to respond, and then somewhere to go. So we finally have the somewhere to go piece here. This is truly a unique facility. We will, what makes it particularly special, not only the fact that we'll have the 16 youth chairs and youth beds, as well as the 16 adult observation chairs and beds, but we will also be bringing into the complex community services programming. So it will truly be a one-stop shopping for individuals who, once they go through the crisis receiving center, they will be able to walk out one door, walk into another door, and there will be peer recovery services, our same-day access. They'll be able to get an appointment immediately for an intake for services. We will have an entire array of services available for them right there in the same building, and I don't think there's a model like that in the state that I'm aware of. So we're very excited to be offering that for our community members. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. What an informative presentation, and thank you for being here tonight.
Sure, thank you.
We'll start with comments, questions to the left.
Just thank you for all the work that you do, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for the presentation, everything you do, and Mike Goodrich, Far From Arlington Economic Development. Remember, it's like 15 years ago we met, so, yeah, thank you.
Just a comment, thank you for the presentation, and I'm happy that we're having that complex available now. Hopefully we can maybe get a tour and get to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on October 9th.
That's
That
right.
is actually when we're offering community tours. And it will be probably the only time that you'd be able to see the crisis receiving center in sort of its, before it's operating, basically. So kind of that full walkthrough, because once it's open to clients, it will be very, very difficult to
I'd definitely be
limit it.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the day. So spread the word, right?
Send us an invite.
Yeah, could you send us more information about
Yes,
that?
definitely.
you.
Thanks. Comments, questions?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, excellent presentation. Only question I have is, can you describe to me how you interact with our Department of Social Services? Because one of the concerns, I see that we've served 179. I believe that number should be doubled in our community. So how is the outreach made between our Department of Social Services and the services that the county provide?
That is an excellent question. I'm not sure that that we have a kind of a formal relationship, but I know since I've been here in the last 3 years, we will get phone calls, and I believe that they're a part of some of our committees. But I can definitely look into that for you and kind of formalize that a little bit more in terms of a formal liaison. But yes, I mean, we're happy to partner with them.
So as a follow-up, how would our residents find out about all the many wonderful services that you provide? You are in Prince William, which seems like a long, distant journey for many people in our community. So how would they find out about it, and what's the best way to inform our residents?
We've been really working on our communication strategies. We have a website, if you want to jump in, that we're...
And so we do have multiple locations to provide services. So Sudley North would be the closest one for Manassas Park residents, not the location in Woodbridge. And we will now have 2 locations in Woodbridge. the A.J. Ferlazzo Center as well as the newly opened Crisis Receiving Center complex.
In your materials on the internet, are they in Spanish as well?
They are not at this time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you planning
We're
on
working on
making some
that, though.
adjustments?
I
to
know
that?
Yeah, it's
that's
a
a-
county initiative
that
too.
is-
We'll
yeah,
have to fold
absolutely.
ourselves into.
Okay, well, I
Yes.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I was going over you answered my question for that. But thank you for the presentation, and I mean, it's, our social responsibility to not only invest money, but time in coming up with these services for our community. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Staff recommendation is that the governing body authorizes the Prince William County Community Services Executive Director or her designee to sign the fiscal year 2026 and fiscal year 2027 Community Services Performance Contract with the Virginia Department of Behavioral Health and Development Services.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Next is our resolution authorizing revenue sharing with VDOT on the Euclid Ave Owens Drive rebuild project. Welcome back, Calvin.
Good evening, Mayor Mensing, Vice Mayor Moore, members of council, residents, staff, and guests. I'm Calvin Odell, the Director of Community Development. The first item before you tonight is as a part of the biennial odd year funding application process through VDOT, they include their revenue sharing program. That's a program that the city has utilized quite frequently in the past to help fund our transportation projects and transportation improvements. In 2023, we applied for the Euclid at Owens concrete intersection. We've had quite a bit of problem with buckling asphalt due to the size of vehicles coming in and stopping short at Owens and rutting the pavement, buckling the pavement. And it's probably time that we look at a more sturdy, longer lasting option there so that we can stop spending so much time and effort in patching the asphalt. Unfortunately, when we applied in 2023, we were left approximately $400,000 short of a 50-50 match. The state, was 398 and some change, but the state was not able to provide the full 50% match. So this is not a new project. This is actually something that we received the funding for in 2023. We're just trying to fill in that extra $400,000 to have the project as a 50-50 match with VDOT. And this is simply a resolution of support for this application. The project is funded in our CIP for FY26 and FY27. This would simply make it an even match between VDOT and the city.
Thank you. Comments, questions, starting down here?
No, thank you.
So Calvin, just for edification purposes, if we did not do this, if we did not approve this recommendation, what would be the downside to that?
We've already proposed this in the CIP for 26 and 27. It's fully funded in the CIP. This would just simply mean that the city would be paying $400,000 more than VDOT.
Yeah, okay. No, I mean, I'm supportive. I wanted to just understand the opposing thing if we decide not to do the funding of the 400,000 roughly.
Yeah, we've already received approval on the funding from 2023. It's just $400,000 short of the city's total ask. So this application, resolution of support for application, is simply supporting VDOT, getting it back up to an even 50-50 match.
Okay, thank you.
No question.
No question.
No question.
No questions, thank you.
All right, staff recommendation is that the governing body approve the resolution in support of the 2025 VDOT revenue sharing application and accept any funding resulting from the application.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Resolution authorizing revenue sharing with VDOT on Transportation Alternatives Grant Program.
Okay, couldn't help but, can't help but point out in the legislative priorities, we had the gaps in sidewalk along Manassas Drive. We have essentially filled in the gap, not physically yet, but it's under design and will soon be out to construction bid for sidewalk along the northern side of Manassas Drive between Railroad Drive and City Hall. That is a regular pedestrian sidewalk. This application right here, again, this is the biennial odd year funding application cycle. This transportation alternatives application would put a multi-use path between Broad Alley, which is the sort of small unnoticed alley at the edge of Park 170, all the way down to Railroad Drive. We have not yet been able to provide any non-pedestrian amenities. This would be a shared use path. Was not really feasible on the other side of the road due to the grading there. Shared use paths must be wider and have larger buffers, but it would work on the other side. So this application this resolution would be supporting an application to design shared use path and install shared use path from Broad Alley down to Railroad Drive on the southern side of Manassas Drive.
Okay, comments, questions? Starting with Sarah.
No questions.
Nope.
Okay. Staff recommendation is that the governing body approve the resolution in support of the 2025 VDOT Transportation Alternatives application and accept any funding resulting from the applications.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Calvin. We have arrived at our second public comment time. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? Okay. City manager reports.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank everybody that helped us pull off our flag raising event last week. It went really well, despite the threatening weather. It was well attended, and it was great. It was a really upbeat, fun event, and I appreciate the people that help us pull it off. So, the only other thing is, it's only a week between now and our next governing body meeting, so just be aware of that. A little quick operational tempo in the beginning of September after the summer break, but. Other than that, I have nothing else to say unless you have questions for me.
Anyone have questions? Yes.
Oh, I just also want to include the Latino Festival and all the staff that worked to help pull that off as well.
Absolutely. I kind of thought Councilmember Mamaya might say that. I didn't want to steal her
Oh,
thunder,
I'm
but
sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
that's okay.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
it's fine. You can steal the thunder all you want.
Well, you should definitely say something.
No, yes, I did want to say thank you to the staff, police, and fire department for being there. Thank you for our mayor for entertaining our residents for about, 6 hours? 5 hours? Everybody was very amazed by her aerialist ability. So thank you, and thank you, Carl, for being available and helping me put it all together as well, planning-wise. And, so it was a great event. We did finish a little later than we were supposed to, but it seemed to be a very safe and enjoyable night. So thank you for the support.
I want to say thank you to Councilmember Amaya for putting it on. She deserves a week vacation right now. I don't know how she's awake right now, but she works wonders and really puts on an amazing program for our community.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything else?
No,
Just jump
thank
in.
you.
No? All right, cool. So we are going into closed meeting. The motion is the city attorney recommends that the governing body go into a closed meeting to consult with legal counsel retained by the governing body to discuss a specific legal matter requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to paragraph 8 of subsection 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We are in closed. Let's take 5 minutes and we will convene in that room back there.
Great.